The contents page of my magazine visually looks very different to the current contents pages being printed, yet there are still many similar and same features between the two. On my contents page, unlike other prints, it doesn't have one large image dominating the page, with a couple of smaller images. Instead, I chose to have smaller images so that people could have more an insight as to what was actually in the magazine. They've already had a large image on the front cover. Another way I have challenged conventions is that I chose to have 3 columns, with the final column being a little bit narrower than the other 2, whereas in other magazines they mostly just have the 1 column. I have chosen to do this to put more detail into the pages so you can see every single article that's in the magazine and a bit of information about it. 3 columns shows how much effort and content is in the magazine. However, 1 column can look a bit boring and a bit bare, and like the editors really didn't care. Something other magazines don't do is to slant the images on the contents page. The image is always straight and in line with the text, which to me is using more space than they needed to do so. So I decided to slant some images and use my space more wisely. I also think that I can set my magazine apart from others to be a part of my house style and my brand identity, where people can think of that one feature and know it was my print. With there being no set way to have a contents page, it was quite easy to look between magazines and pick up lots of different ideas to develop and use in my own work. The first idea I chose was used in Kerrang magazine. It was a on the cover section. I decided to replicate that in my own work, but the page numbers and description of articles below the image are completely different to that of Kerrang's. I also chose to have the titles of bands within the articles in one larger font, and then a description of the article in a different, smaller font, like they do in most magazines, but I changed where I put the page numbers. Another development regarding page numbers is that I decided to put page numbers on the image that I included on the contents page, just like they do in other magazines, but I chose to make the page numbers much smaller than those in the likes of Kerrang, Alternative Press and Rock Sound. I also chose to adhere with a lot of conventions within my contents page that other magazines use. For example, having an editor's column with relevant images, bold boxes to highlight the titles of each sections, and the same fonts on the front cover continued onto the cover page. More subtle ways I have chose to go along with the normal rules is that I chose to use a gutter of 4mm between each column and have the same font size of 8 for the small description of each article, just like they do in other magazines. I chose to adhere to those specific conventions because a lot of readers will already be accustomed to those text sizes and gutters, and from my research and experience I know a lot of people don't really like change and it could put them off reading my magazine. So by doing what they are used to, they are more likely to continue reading my print.